Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host Daniel Green, and today we have some Sir Ian McKellen news. Don't worry, I'm gonna start it off by saying he's okay, but he did fall.
Fly, you fools!
It has been reported that during a showing of Player Kings, Sir Ian McKellen, while performing a combat sequence, fell from the stage and was promptly taken to the hospital. And happily enough, he's apparently already been back on stage, and today for me, yesterday for you, did a matinee showing of Player Kings again. Two big takeaways from this. One, amazing that the guy is still doing stage combat at 85. Absolutely redonkulous. The fact he's even acting right now with his level of success shows it's just for a love of the craft. That's part of why we all love him. Two, Gravity, you're officially on the shit list. You've been on thin ice since you made us all start feeling weight and stuff, which sucked, but this is over the line, and now Gravity's on the list of things I don't like. Do you remember how over the last couple of weeks I've consistently complained that there is a big fantasy news story dropping like hours after or minutes before I release a fantasy news? Well, I set an alarm today to wake up extra early so I'd have time to record, and guess what released? That is right, we are getting the cover reveal for Stormlight Archive 5, Wind and Truth, with art by Sam Green. This is the UK cover of the book and features Dalinar Kholin. The Cosmere covers, I feel like, have a 50-50 split among fans of preferring the UK versions or the US versions, and this one's not exactly going to make the debate easier. The monochrome look making the red just pop here puts in a sense of doom as well as hope with having this sun in the background. I'm not sure if it's meant to be taken as a good or negative, but I'm getting kind of this eerie vibe from it that I really like.
The red sun rises.
I love that we're seeing Dalinar continue to rock his Reed Richards hair. And judging by the massive size of the book in his hands, Dalinar's also started reading Stormlight Archive. Good for him. I would say it's not my favorite of the UK covers for Cosmere or the Stormlight Archive, but it's still solid. Sam Green does great work. But this final entry in the first half of the Stormlight Archive will drop December 6th of this year. But this brings me to another cover reveal we got, dropping after I recorded yesterday for the Broken Bindings editions of the Greenbone Saga. And I typically love the Greenbone Saga's art. I also typically really love art from Vargas Ni. Patrick Leo has done an amazing job working with the Broken Binding, and I see a lot of potential in these covers. And the sprayed edges would look phenomenal, just not necessarily with this art style. These are looking a bit too busy, in my opinion, and the clashing could work in person. I definitely need to get my hands on it to see. I really want to love them, but I just don't think the combination is going to necessarily vibe here. I'll wait to see what they look like without the cover. Maybe that stained glass look will look a bit better with a more plain cover. And again, maybe in person, these will have a brilliant effect that we're just not getting in the digital rendering. I've seen plenty of art I did not necessarily love for books online, but once I got it in person, it was like, oh, that actually kind of hits. So I'm not trying to judge too harshly. What I can say for sure though, bold choice, Broken Binding and Patrick Leo, and I hope you all continue to push bounds like this and make stuff that'll stand out on a shelf. Greenbone Saga. I wish I could erase you from my memory and consume you again for the first time. That's the level of love I have. But now, back to less sleepy Daniel. I was still pretty sleepy though. I had to restart a book recently, so I've been up late a lot. But from there, we are going to transition into our regularly scheduled fantasy news program, starting with a cover reveal from Tor for At the Fount of Creation by Toby Ogundurin, with art by Godwin Akpen. This is not my preferred style of art for covers in general, but I do think, especially with the light play, this cover's managed to achieve like a remarkable level of depth, so kudos and well done. And I'm so sorry about this next story. it's going to involve me reaching into a whole lot of sci-fi nerds' wallets, prying them open, and basically just taking money from you. And that's because to celebrate its 40th anniversary, Folio Society has announced that they will be doing a special edition of Neuromancer by William Gibson, launching this August. And yeah, just go ahead and budget for that, because this is going to be dope. Even just the advertisement art they have here is just killer. It's really rare that an author actually has the level of impact that their biggest fans will claim on a specific genre, writing style, whatever. But Neuromancer by William Gibson, genuinely, while there were stories that came before it you can in hindsight call cyberpunk, did solidify, henceforth ever after its release, how we all view that genre and influences every single story that has entered it since then. And that is really amazing. But moving on to some exciting upcoming fantasy book release news, Garth Nix has officially signed with Galanx for 2 new books coming in 2025 and 2026, titled The Massif for the former and The Even-Handed Booksellers of Edinburgh for the latter. The first is a new entry from the author with a synopsis that reads, "Humanity has reached the stars on the back of mysterious traveling mountain ranges. The Massif, but where have they come from? And can we truly leave behind all that we were?"
Maybe. Maybe not.
And The Even-Handed Booksellers of Edinburgh, which is the 3rd book in a series from Nix, reads, "Susan, Merlin, and Vivian are back, dealing with matters bookish, magical, and dangerous in Scotland. In this sequel to The Left-Handed Booksellers of London and The Sinister Booksellers of Bath." And I really need to read some Garth Nix. I keep confusing him with Glenn Cook, so I've thought I've read his books before, but judging from these reads, and from what I've heard people say about Sabriel, that is not even a close mistake to make. But for my Garth Nix fans in the audience, where should I start his material? Should I just go Sabriel? It feels like I should just go Sabriel. Shifting over from narrative books though, let's talk about some rule books, because we have also had it announced from Wizards of the Coast that some pretty big updates are coming to D&D rulebooks. No, this is not the release of a new system, but think of it like almost a 0.5 update for the existing 5e. Many more changes are coming to classes, races, etc., than has been announced here, but in terms of the structure of the presentation of material within the rulebooks for Dungeons & Dragons, it's apparently nearly been entirely reworked. Where before new players could be inundated with character creation and lore, now it seems like the books are going to focus more on the technical details, so as you learn more about the system, it will fall into the groundwork that's already been laid with some more of the technical stuff. Calling it the pick up and play ethos, to me, this almost feels like them playing catch up, not to just easily dunk on Dungeons & Dragons, which has been easy to do ever since the huge debacle we covered last year with their open source, actually no, never mind approach to systems. But again, I'm just happy to see the change finally occur. In good news, all of these changes, even beyond the structural, the ones we don't know about classes, etc., are going to be backwards compatible for everything else that has apparently been released within the 5e system. So for those of you who have been hardcore 5e, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this. Do you agree with me that they've not done a great job of easily making the game accessible with how the rules are laid out in the books? Or do you disagree and think, no, it was fine? Or are you just someone who never has really picked up the rulebooks and just always prefers to explain it, which I find myself in the camp of more often than not? Yes, I hear you. Okay, fine. Let's talk about House of the Dragon. No, I'm not sure if I'll be doing a review of every single episode here on the channel. I might either just do pairs, like 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, or a full season review. I will give my thoughts on it, don't worry. Just let me know how you'd prefer I do it in the comments down below. But Max has had, specifically Max, not like HBO, has had its largest single viewership day ever when it comes to House of the Dragon, with reportedly 7.8 million people tuning in to the first episode of the 2nd season. And right on the heels of this success, we have also had it announced that A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, an additional Game of Thrones adaptation, has moved on into production, which means the game Blue and I played in the Fantasy News on Tuesday is already outdated. Damn. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
The way you read it makes me think it's real. I'm gonna assume they've just announced it, but there's nothing more concrete than that.
Exactly right. That is pre-production across the board.
Yeah.
Flea bottom.
Oh, God. What the hell is that?
I guess it happens when you have this many adaptations in the work. This was all rounded out with 5 new cast members being announced for that upcoming show, including Finn Bennett as Aerion Targaryen, Bertie Carvel as Baelor Targaryen, Tazin Crawford as Tenzel, Daniel Ings as Lionel Baratheon, and Sam Spruill as Maekar Targaryen. I've been thrilled to see House of the Dragon's success. I think them kind of trimming down the number of adaptations coming down the road is for the benefit. A lot of them are being shelved. Good. And I hope the ones we do finally see hit the screen continue to do George R.R. Martin's story.
Justice.
It was just so many simple writing mistakes in season 8 that led to so many fans feeling so betrayed. But if you would like to possibly avoid making some of the mistakes we've discussed here today, I would like to recommend Sabaa Tahir's class on building believable characters, available on Skillshare. She talks about defining their goals, motivations, and conflicts to set the groundwork, determining key attributes to build them, and place them in different scenarios to find out how they might react. She uses an exercise called the character interview to really enter your character's mind and get to know them better. If you have not watched it already, I highly recommend you check it out. It's available on Skillshare, who I'm very grateful to have as today's sponsor. As you've probably already heard, Skillshare is the largest online learning community in existence, with thousands of classes, more than I bet you'll ever be able to get through, curated by industry experts. Basically, it helps you take your I want tos and turns them into I made them happens. They cover everything from publishing, design, animation, photography, coding. If there's a topic, Skillshare, decent chance they're gonna cover it. And the first 500 people to click the link in the description down below are gonna get a month free of Skillshare just to see if it actually is for them. And part of what actually kind of pushed me over the edge to becoming an author was how much research I was doing into trying to become a better critic, and how much of that advice it seems to have just bled on over into being a better reader, even being able to dissect the media material I consume. That's why you get reviews now like my deep dive into the Sun Eater series instead of just like a 4-minute, here are my likes and dislikes of a Stephen King book like you used to. So whether you're a beginner or advanced, go ahead and check out the link down below, browse various topics that may interest you, and with a free trial, find out if Skillshare is going to be right for you. And if you really want to challenge yourself, look into Skillshare's Learning Paths, curated sequential classes that'll help you improve on a specific topic in ways you may not even knew you need to improve on when you first get into it. Like when you start coding, you probably need to learn the operating system of your desktop a bit better. Bet you didn't know that. I was a software engineer, so I do. So if you'd like to get yourself that 1-month free trial, be sure to click the link in the description down below. Back to the video. But it wouldn't be an epic edition of fantasy news without some Sanderson news. And we have had some fun updates for fans of the Cosmere. First, Robin Hobb and Donato Gaincola will both be at Dragponsteel Nexus in 2024. I am extremely excited to be there already, but now for the chance to meet Robin Hobb, amazing. I have been made aware that she has apparently not seen that skit, which means I am not sure if I should show up in my Robin Hobb costume. What do you all think? That would be an impression. Tying it back to tabletop RPGs though, I'm excited to say we've gotten an additional sneak peek from Brotherwise Games when it comes to their upcoming Stormlight Archive tabletop RPG. With art from @JustinDuraArt, we have seen this look at Shallan, her path, and a bit of a description of what exactly these paths are going to be for the game, described as flexible instead of rigid classes. And I won't get into any more details here for spoiler concerns, but it's very cool to see Shallan and her, versions.
She's complicated, like the Da Vinci Code.
But this is going to take us to some rather large industry news, and it's related to the ongoing battle between artists and artificial intelligence. Meta has announced that as of June 26, public posts on its platform will be used across the board to train AI models. Fortunately, if you live in the EU or the UK, you can opt out of this happening to your art, but unfortunately for those of us in America, yay, that will not be the case, and so the backlash from artists has been substantial, not wanting their art to be scraped to train the things that are going to be used by not artists to try and replace them and take their business. Well, in response to this announcement, a specific platform has seen a small explosion of growth. Cara, Cara, I'm not sponsored to talk about them, I just think this is interesting, went from roughly 40,000 users to over 650,000 in a week. They market themselves as a safe virtual space for artists to display their art, network, and have tools in place to try and stop artificial intelligence from mining it. This includes a filter on the website itself that apparently they claim will prevent any art generated from artificial intelligence from being uploaded. How effective that will be now or will remain, I have no idea. But in addition to that, it allows the artist to mark their art with a no AI tag, which is supposed to tell people not to use it in any way, shape, or form to aid AI models. And then finally, they can apparently offer a glaze. Okay, that makes it apparently nearly impossible for art in the site to be used to train AI. This website was created by Jingya Zhang, who is actually a photographer and one of several artists who is currently suing Google for training their AI models on their art. I bring this up for two reasons. One, it's interesting industry news that can have a pretty big impact on where the artists you like, follow, who create the covers, posters you enjoy, are posting their material. Some accounts you like might start going dark right around June 26th. But on top of that, my review of it as a social media platform, it's kind of nice and refreshing. There's not a ton of celebrity crap being shoved down your throat, not a whole lot of ads yet. It's certainly in beta, so some features are a bit rough. Whether or not it has any legs, I have no idea. It seems really difficult, in my opinion, to monetize a platform that seems stuck between Instagram and LinkedIn for artists. There's definitely these networking angles to it, as well as just display. More ads will probably have to be brought in, but for now, it's just a fun little thing for us to check on out, as opposed to Instagram, which is just going to show me another meme with that monkey saying, "Oh no," again. Have you seen the monkey meme? Am I the only one who's getting inundated with memes of this goddamn monkey?
Oh no! Oh no!
But this is going to take us to the quickie news, where Nintendo Direct provided us our first look at Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Originally announced in 2017, it has been confirmed that Metroid Prime 4 will be on the Nintendo Switch in 2025. Not the most insane development length I've seen for a game, but it's impressive. I do have my criticisms, but first I want to commend the trailer for actually just showing almost entirely gameplay. Like, this was just a, here, our game, check it on out, it looks pretty good. My biggest criticism would be that the actual shooting itself, the description that comes to mind is low energy. Don't get me wrong, I understand a massive part of the Metroid franchise is the way you move about the maps, the puzzle solving, and just the inventive weaponry as a whole. Absolutely. But I believe you can maintain that part of the game while also taking some of the elements we've seen from recent shooters and adding them into this one to give it a bit more punch. Perhaps the fans are going to disagree with me. They want the more slow-paced shooter, in which case I'll happily admit ya boy wrong. And overall, still an impressive trailer that struck me as rather confident that they made a good game. I was just surprised how much it reminded me of Time Splitters vibes. But in the final news we're going to talk about from Nintendo Direct, we also got a trailer for The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, which is going to be a Legend of Zelda game where finally parents will actually say the name of the proper protagonist, because in this one you are not playing as Link, and instead you are playing as Zelda, going on a mission to find a missing Link. Why they didn't title this The Legend of Zelda Missing Link? Only time will tell, or we may never know.
It's a great name.
This will be of the top-down format we have seen many times before in the franchise, and I think most recently in this one that escapes my brain, but I did play this Zelda game, and it was really, really good. And this looks fun. I'm down to take on the similar challenges we've seen Link face in the past, but instead of going for like a Bard Ranger approach to the problem solving, a sorcerer one. That's a good description of Link, right? He's a Bard Ranger. Bard Fighter? No, Bard Ranger. He's a Bard Ranger. But if you were going to do this for any other gaming franchise, take the main character and put him to the side and instead play as one of these secondaries, which game franchise would you want to do that for? No, you cannot say Diablo 3 is Deckard Cain. That's my answer. I just want to tell stories to adventurers around a fire. That'd be a great game. But in the only manga news we're going to be covering this week, we have had it announced that the next volume of Vinland Saga, volume 28, will be released June 21st. But speaking of news, this is going to take us to our final story of the day, which is just one that made me giggle, because there was a very interesting interview released with the creator of Elden Ring, Hidetaka Miyazaki, where he discussed the upcoming DLC to Elden Ring. And for those of you unaware, Shadow of the Erdtree, the upcoming DLC for Elden Ring, has been confirmed and reiterated in this interview to be the largest DLC the studio has ever put out. And with Elden Ring being one of the most successful games of recent years, it's got a lot of people very excited. Additional bosses, regions, weapons. The $40 price tag seems actually reasonable for DLC. Oh my gosh. And the whole interview is really interesting in how he's reflected on Elden Ring's impact, what lessons he's learned, but my favorite part came from talking about poison swamps. I'm a big believer that everything can be an art, and I think that is proven in what he has to say, and for full context, let's get into the quotes here. Miyazaki said, "In terms of the poisonous swamps, I guess in the original Elden Ring, I went a little too far, so I'm trying to take some learnings from that. And you can say the version that exists in the DLC, which I've already confirmed, applies a lot of those learnings. Let's just say I try to imagine different ways I want to die as a player or be killed, so that expression of myself has been imparted into the poison swamp. So not in the poison swamp itself, it's been curbed, but in other parts of the gameplay, there are many ways to die."
I'm ready to die!
And it's just so beautiful to hear the creator of Elden Ring, to the Soul's legacy, talk about, yeah, I toned this down a little, but just so I could kill you in more creative ways. That encapsulates the artistry of making your players feel rage in a way I didn't think we could. Beautiful. But before we close out this episode of Fantasy News, I just wanted to really quickly say thank you again to everyone who donated for Horizons for Homeless Kids. We actually have been able to go and drop off the Kobos, the money, they have it now, and $23,000, as well as many who signed up to like regularly give, is going to make such an impact over there. The goblins did good, and I think that's a beautiful thing. The winner was announced in a short. It was Brandon Sanderson coming in late, but not a huge surprise. He squashed the competition. Second place, though, was a remarkably close and impressive ML Wong, so congratulations there, and definitely go check out Sword of Kaigen. But I went off and I got my Sill tattoo, keeping the promise of whoever raised the most money would get added to my fantasy sleeve, and so we now have a full-on Sill here. Was this all just an elaborate ploy for me to be able to get a tattoo and make it a tax write-off? Here's some fun interviews we did over at Horizons. If people want to continue to support Horizons in a similar way, where are you guys looking most to receive from the community right now?
We've been so grateful for your community providing their donation. We always have folks who donate throughout the year, so we welcome that. And or if they're able to also volunteer in shelters, we have shelters across Massachusetts that they can give their time to and play.
And so there's so locations within Massachusetts, are they just in the greater Boston area or like wider?
Wider across Massachusetts, so south of Massachusetts, north.
So please,
Is
if
it
anyone...
anywhere else? No? Okay.
You have a surprise location in Florida, actually. What are the goals that Horizons has on its Horizons?
So we're trying to do more impactful work with parents, because we know if they're thriving, their children will also thrive. So we're really trying to put a lot of focus on parent engagement, and also we're building 2 more classrooms. So
no way.
To serve more children. So we're excited about those ventures.
That's one of my favorite reasons we ended up choosing you all, is you seem to have this all-around approach to the family as a whole, understanding that like as the family succeeds, the child succeeds.
Absolutely.
And so there is a fun angle for me in this, where I'm going to be contributing to my little fantasy sleeve, possibly a dog that is not my own, possibly another dog that is not my own, a bird that is not my own, or some symbols from various fantasy series. Do you personally, or do the people here at Horizons personally, have a preference for which one will win?
Well, I'm a fan of tattoos.
Oh, nice!
Wow.
Oh, those are way better than mine.
So, but there is this one tattoo that's near and close to my heart.
Oh.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to think about that.
But this has just been your latest episode of Fantasy News. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check them out in the link in the description down below. Like and subscribe if you have not already. And if you would like to see a whole bunch of bonus content we've been kind of going hard on, head on over to Patreon to see Kayla and I's reaction to Rebel Moon 2, my review of a piano, writing updates, and so much more. And have a good one, y'all. Peace.